Let's talk about how to create your own courses and add your own content to your branded agent learning portal. Now, you can always feel free to send us any of your content, and our team will build it out for you so that you can do other things. But you'll also have the opportunity to play with the course creator function and add your own content also. So, let's see how you do that. Step one, you'll log in to your account. You'll have to have administrator privileges in order to create courses. So make sure that you have those privileges. And if you do, then you'll go to the drop down menu at the top and you will switch from learner mode to instructor. And once you're in instructor mode, you have a number of different functions that are available to you. You can see those on the right hand sidebar. Today, we're just going to talk about how to create a course. So I'm going to click add your first course. And this is pretty simple. I'm going to put in my course name. You can select from an existing category. If you need a custom category created, just send us a message and we would create a custom category for you. We can even create the artwork if you need for any thumbnails that you want so that everything is consistent with your brand and looks like $1,000,000. So we can do that, but this is where you would upload your photo also. And then you can add a description. We can choose whether or not we want the course to be active. So if we're building out a course over a period of time and we're working on it periodically and we don't want users to see it yet, I would uncheck that so that it was not active. Users wouldn't see it and I'd have the time to finish building it out. I can hide it from the catalog or I can allow it to be shown in the catalog. You have a course code option. And the simplest way to put this is it helps you organize and sort your courses or content on users' dashboards. So something with a course code of A1 would be organized above something with a course code of A2. Anything that had a course code starting with B would be positioned lower than anything with a course code with A. So that's a way to organize the way that users will see the content on their dashboard. If you're working with us to create any other kind of marketing funnels or potential payment gateways, then we would work with you here to create that function and we can add a price. You have the intro video option, which we always recommend. If you can record a short video, 3 minutes or less, typically, to set the expectations of what your user, your agent is about to go through, content-wise with the course, what the goal outcome-wise is, then that helps send them in the right direction as they go through the course. So you would upload that here. You can choose the capacity. You can limit the capacity if you want. You have the option to choose a start and expiration date. So if it is some sort of training or course that is set to start on a specific date and expire at a specific date, you have that function here, and those that complete it within that time frame can retain access to it by checking that box. So if you don't complete it by the expiration date, you don't retain access. If you do, then you can retain access. If we've created a certificate for you, for instance, for onboarding or something else, or you might have a certificate that you create you want to use, you can associate that with the course here. And you can always reach out to us to do that for you and set it up correctly so that it parses in your user's name and date and all that stuff in the right spot. And then the last thing here is level, and that has to do with the custom learning path. Reach out to us would be my suggestion and set a strategy call to talk through how we can help you create your own custom learning path. And this function is part of that, where we can set a requirement where users have to be at a certain level in order to access certain courses. So you can reach out to us and talk more strategically about how we can implement that for you. But once I've gone through the setup, I would hit save and it gives me an option to select users. Right now, since I'm still working on the course, I'm not going to add any users. But if I wanted to, I would just hit the plus sign on any of these individuals that I wanted to add as a user. And then I could also make them an instructor if I wanted them to be an instructor. But again, I'm going to remove that user so that I have no users right now as I'm just doing a test. All right, so then I'm going to click course here, and at the bottom right hand portion of the screen, I'm going to click Go to Course Content. So now we're in the course editor. On the right-hand side, we have a sidebar with a few functions. First, you'll see users in progress. So if you're an instructor, you can click on that and you can see all the users that are currently in this course. I can enroll users from here, and I can click on those options and do a few things like reset progress. The next option is files. So if there's any files that are directly related to this particular course or this content, as an instructor, I could drag and drop all of those files here. I would be able to select once there was a file added, whether or not I wanted to share that file by just hitting plus or minus. So users in learner mode who were going through this course or content would see those files in a separate section. And then the next thing is rules and path. So here you can choose if users need to complete all the units in a sequential order or if they can jump ahead and go in any order. Next is you can choose when the course is completed, either when all the units are completed or when a certain percentage of them are completed. And then you have how a score is calculated. So if you have tests, assignments, or something like that as part of it, if we've worked with you to create those sort of functions, then this is an option where we can choose how we're going to calculate their score based on tests only, tests plus assignments, or just exercises that we might choose. So again, on your strategy call, we can work through that. And then learning path, this goes back to the custom learning path I mentioned. It's best to set a strategy call with us so we can customize that. And this is an example of another function that would help employ that. So what you're able to do here essentially is set a prerequisite for somebody in this course. So let's use the example that you had a buyer, seller, or you had a buyer training and you had seller training, and you wanted people, in order to access the seller training, to have completed the buyer training first. What you could do here is add in the prerequisite course for this course. If this was the seller course, then the prerequisite for this course would be the buyer course, right? So what it would do is force people to complete the buyer course before they'd be able to access anything here. So again, schedule a strategy call. We can talk about how we can create a custom learning path for you. And then the last is reports. And here you can see a report and everything you would want to know about the activity within a course. So the first thing that pops up is an overview. The next tab at the top is users, so you can dig into a report based on users. The next is timeline, so you can see minute by minute the activity within a course. All right, so getting back into the course creator, that's everything on the right-hand sidebar. Next is this add drop-down menu, and this is where you'll spend all your time if you're adding content and creating the course. So these are all the different options and ways that you can add content. We'll walk through them briefly. The first one is just a general editor where you can use it as a blank canvas and add images, copy and paste, text. You can embed HTML and just use this as a blank canvas editor. You have the opportunity to choose what will designate a completed, what will designate somebody having completed this with either a checkbox, so your users would have to hit complete to continue, or you can choose to have users complete this unit with a question, or you can choose it to automatically complete it for them after a period of time, 1 second, 1 minute, 5 minutes. If you have a video and you want to make sure that they watch the entire thing and it's a 5-minute video, then I would choose right here that they wouldn't be able to complete it until 5 minutes had gone by. It's a way of ensuring that they have to watch the whole video before being able to move on to the next step. So that's what you're able to do with the content function. The next is web content. So here you can paste URLs from other web pages and embed those in many cases inside of your environment here. So this is just a link to a page that I was on, and I pasted it in here, and you can see it automatically puts that inside my viewer. It keeps all the users inside my environment. So you can always try to use that if you are wanting to show something that is hosted elsewhere out there on the web. The next feature is, oops. The next feature for adding content is video. It's pretty straightforward. You have your name, same functions on how to complete it. This is an example of when you might think about if you want somebody to watch the whole video, you would use the how to complete it after a period of time. And then you can select the video. If you have it hosted on YouTube, you can just post a link. You can upload the MP4, or if you have a presentation, you can use that as well. And the next function is audio. So here we can add an audio file, or we can record the audio file right here from the course creator. Next is presentation and document. So if I had a PDF that I wanted somebody to view, or a slide deck, for instance, I can easily drag and drop that here. Let me see if I have something that I could just use as an example. So for instance, here I just uploaded the NAEA buyer script book. It's a PDF, and I just uploaded it right there. And so users can access that again in my own environment. So that's what the presentation and document function does. The next would be the SCORM, which I'll let you go into that rabbit hole. 9 times out of 10, you're never going to use that. Small percentage of businesses use that. It's a regulatory measure to ensure adherence to rules if you have people taking certain governed like certification courses and stuff through your system. Reach out to us if you think that makes sense. And then here you have iframe is the next function. So this is another way to embed content that might be out there on the web. If you have training that's hosted elsewhere, you might be able to embed it here so you can keep people in your environment and even have them log in. For instance, there, if I look, oh, what the heck? I didn't mean to do that. All right, so let me see if I can show this as an example. You can see I embedded a web page there. And here you can also see, so this is this is one of the learning portals that we have, and you can see how I'm able to actually embed that right inside here and actually have users log in and everything without losing, control or having them leave my environment. So super cool. I always explore that function if I'm, trying to bring something in from the outside. And then here we get into the test, survey, and assignment functions. So if I wanted to create a test, I would click on that, and here you have the option to do a lot of things. You can add different questions like multiple choice, fill in the gap, ordering, and it's best that you mess around. You're not going to break anything. Just explore all these options, and you can reach out to us if you want to talk strategy, or if you just want us to do it. You give us the content, we'll create the test for you. But you'll have the option to mess around with all these options. And then you have survey. So survey, a little bit different than a test, but a similar way to capture information along the way. And you as an instructor would have the ability to view all those responses. And then assignment, which is one of the coolest features, I think. It allows you to require your users to submit some information or evidence of having completed and maybe even taken action on a certain task. So I'll give you an example. So you can see what I've written here. Upload a recording of you reciting your buyer scripts, or let's just say script. I'm just using this as an example. So what that will do for users is it'll prompt them to execute that task and complete it by either uploading the text reply, uploading a file, recording a video, or recording audio. And so that option to upload file, record video, and record audio are really cool and a great way to engage your user along the way. All right. And then instructor led training is the next option. This is a very cool feature that we're probably going to get more into in this, in the future. And so, what this allows you to do is actually create an event, a training. If I'm going to do how to convert expired listings, through prospecting. Let's say I'm going to do that training next week on Monday. I can add that session here and it'll be an event available on all my users' calendar. And that event is actually part of the course curriculum inside of the course. So if you have, a buyer training course and there are two trainings that are kind of in person on Zoom calls that are part of that, you can make those instructor led trainings and actually part of the path inside of here. If you have any questions at all, we can do it for you, or we can hop on a call and talk strategy and help you understand how you can use it if it makes sense. And then the last thing is you have a section option. So you can organize the units. So if this was, let's just say this whole entire course was agent fast start training. And, I wanted to kind of have everything consolidated into one course. Maybe because if I'm looking at a course report, it'll be easier than having to look at multiple reports. Who knows what the reason might be. But what we could do is break it up into categories. And all the buyer training, for instance, could be in this buyer section. And then they'd have to go through it in a certain order. And then they'd progress to the seller section. And so you can see how you might use the sections. So this pretty much covers everything related to adding content to your course. The last couple things are from this view in instructor mode. I can always edit the course. I can, if I need to look at what it's going to look like for my users, I can always switch to learner mode and it'll show me what everything is going to look like for my users. And then you also have a few options here where you can message all the users that are just part of this particular course. I can add an event on the calendar that's related to this course. I can make the course public, which means I'll get a link that I can share with anybody. They don't even have to create an account. So if I did a workshop and I just wanted people to have access to some content within my environment as a follow-up, but I didn't want to have to create a barrier of them creating an account, then I could share this public course link. We can lock the course content, and mobile app compatibility really you won't need to use. So I won't even spend any time going over that. So that's everything related to creating a course. Again, you can have us do it. Send us the content and we can do it all for you. We can hop on a call if you need to talk strategy and figure out how we want to lay everything out and create a custom learning path if that's something that you want to do, or as we've gone through, you have the option to do it on your own.